Okay, good afternoon. We'll call this regular board meeting for Wednesday, April 24th, 2024 to order at 4 p.m. Roll call, please, Ms. Olson.
Director Bankus? Here. Director Carey?
Here.
Director Hafley?
Here.
Director Jorgensen?
Here.
Director Malpacum?
Here.
Director Nelson?
Here.
Director Ott?
Here.
We have all 7 board members in attendance in person. Okay, please join me as we observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Adoption of the agenda. Director Hafley, can you please make the motion to adopt the agenda?
Yes, I move that the Board of Education adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please, Melissa.
Director Bankus? Aye. Director Carey?
Aye.
Director Hafley?
Aye.
Director Jorgensen?
Aye.
Director Malpacum?
Aye.
Director Nelson?
Aye.
Director Ott?
Aye.
The agenda has been adopted as presented. We do have executive session for roughly 90 minutes. Director Jorgensen, can you please make the motion to move into executive session?
Yes, I move that the Board of Education convenes into executive session to discuss legal advice per CRS 24-6-4024B, particular matter interest-based bargaining with Colorado Springs Education Association, and meet and confer with educational support professionals and executive professional employees. And negotiations per CRS 24-6-402E, particular matter interest-based bargaining with Colorado Springs Education Association, meet and confer with educational support professionals and executive professional employees.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Melissa, roll call, please.
Director Bankus? Aye. Director Carey?
Aye.
Director Hafley?
Aye.
Director Jorgensen?
Aye.
Director Malpacum?
Aye.
Director Nelson?
Aye.
Director Ott?
Aye.
The ayes have it. We will enter into executive session and reconvene here in the boardroom for the regular board meeting at approximately 5:30 p.m. Thank you. Okay, now that we got the chairs out of the way, we can get started. Good evening again. It's good to see all of you here. I want to start by acknowledging the Holmes Middle School String Quartet again. They were performing and entertaining our audience earlier this evening under the direction of their teacher, Jennifer West. And I'm waiting for Miss West to come back into the room so we can acknowledge her and her students as well. Yeah.
Kind of unloading the base right at the moment.
Okay. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the performance. We were in executive session downstairs. And today is also Administrative Professionals Day. On behalf of the entire board, I want to thank Ms. Melissa Olson for all that she does on a day in and day out basis and making these board meetings run smoothly without a hitch. So thank you, Ms. Olson, for all the work that you do. So could we get Ms. West and the students up here? Yeah. Okay.
What's your name? Ms. West. We're going to ask you, I turned it on, if you can comment a little bit about the group for everybody.
Hi, everybody. We are from Holmes Middle School, and this group is mostly 8th graders, and they've been coming in to work after school to learn music for this performance.
All right, great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So earlier this afternoon, the board adopted the agenda as presented. We have returned from executive session and there is no need to modify the agenda. Moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance, today we have the Doherty High School Navy and Mitchell High School Air Force JROTC in the presentations of the colors. Please join.
Color guard, holds, left, colors, arch. Presets, colors.
Will everyone please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Carry, colors. Right, colors, arch. Bow, arch.
Thank you. You may be seated. So that was a good way to start the board meeting. I want to thank Captain Thomas from the Doherty Navy JROTC and Colonel Hinson from the Mitchell Air Force JROTC for bringing the students here, for the cadets here, and performing the color guard. Thank you. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, we have awards and recognitions, and we have City Council President Randy Helms up here, and I will first turn it over to Superintendent Gall.
Yeah, Councilmember Helms, if you could come forward to the podium. We're excited as an extension of Lieutenant Governor was down at Doherty High School along with Randy on the Military Child Proclamation. We have Purple Star schools. I don't know if people know what those are. What we do is we know what the challenges are for our military families, particularly for our students as they move in and out of communities. And so we have specially trained staff and support for those kids as they come in and out of the city. And our Lieutenant Governor was here about a week ago, right, Randy?
That's right.
It was Monday. Yeah, Monday the 17th to recognize, and came to our Future Center at Doherty, and we had a couple of our military children there to converse with Lieutenant Governor to talk about how welcoming an environment it is at Doherty High School as one of our Purple Star schools. And so Doherty High School, Jenkins Middle School, and McCullough Elementary School are the current designees for Purple Star schools. There is legislation going forward in this year's season to expand the Purple Star program. And Councilmember Helms, for you to be able to make the proclamation.
And you can go up to the podium.
Yep.
I'm going to do something, so I assume just like I'm used to setting up here, so with City Council, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say a few words to the audience, and then I'll read the proclamation to the board. So I'm going to turn around. I'm going to twist your microphone without breaking it, I hope. Or do you want me to?
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
give it to you. Okay.
Thanks. Thank you. Okay. I think, yeah, it's on. Just a couple of comments before I read a proclamation in honor of the two other Purple schools. I was honored to be with both the superintendent and Parth, your president, at the Doherty High School back, as your superintendent said, on the 17th with the lieutenant governor, and we presented the proclamations there. And it is a real honor to be here to further that and give a proclamation here at your school board to two other Purple schools. A few more comments. The reason this is important to me, along with your superintendent, who we are both not only Air Force Academy grads, but careers in the United States Air Force. In my particular case, not only have I deployed all over the world, but me and my family have lived literally all over the world, as well as across the United States. My wife and I, we have 3 now adult children, but when they were children, just like to the parents, especially to the parents and the students in this room, my children attended multiple schools. All 3 of our children went to 2 different high schools. My youngest child went to 3 different high schools. So we understand, and Parth knows this, we lived in India. The United States Air Force sent us to India. We lived in India. We lived in Germany. So again, our three children had the wonderful opportunity to experience the world and different cultures, different people, and to become what I call better Americans. So for those military children and the parents of those military children in the room, I know and understand what you're going through, and I think you're better Americans for that. And again, I want to also thank the junior ROTC groups from both Mitchell and Doherty who are here tonight, and it just made me very pleased and honored to be here. Okay, I'll quit talking here and I'll turn around and I'll read the proclamation. And then I have the proclamations here if we want to present them to representatives from Jenkins and McCullough. City of Colorado Springs, Colorado, proclamation. Month of the Military Child, April 2024. Whereas there are an estimated 1.65 million military-connected children enrolled in schools in the United States and abroad. And whereas military children must often deal with separation from their parents, but they come back with strong positives, and they have been identified in studies, including a high occurrence of very resilient personalities, exceptional social skills, a high level of multicultural and international awareness, proficiency in foreign languages, and a statistically very strong affinity for careers that entail service to others. And whereas in 1986, former U.S. Secretary of Defense Caspar Weinberger first designated April as the month of the military child, acknowledging the significant role military-connected students play in our communities. And whereas the average military student faces multiple school relocations from kindergarten through 12th grade. And whereas in the Military Children's Compact Commission is committed to resolving the education transition issues that are faced by these children and their families. And whereas on April 2024, Colorado Springs is encouraged to purple up for our military kids as a way of, for our communities to thank military children for their strength and sacrifice. Purple represents the joint service operations and is a combination of Army Green, Marine Corps Red, Coast Guard, Air Force, and Navy Blue. It is the appropriate color to represent military children from all branches. Now, therefore, I, Randy Helms, President of the Colorado Springs City Council, do hereby officially proclaim April 2024 as Month of the Military Child, and witness thereof, signed, Randy Helms, President, Colorado Springs City Council.
If I get Jenkins and McCullough to come forward. And Doherty. Well, Doherty was there, but we'll bring Lana come forward again.
Yeah, we'll do, I've got one for each, so we'll, come on, where would you like us in front of? Does it matter?
Right up in the front.
Right up
would
over
be.
here.
Yeah.
We'll do it all together. You bet.
Everybody carry their own if you got one.
Doherty's already got theirs, so we'll slide right in. And I'll slide right in here with you. We'll open them up. And we're gonna say cheeseburger.
1, 2, 3. Cheeseburger.
You didn't do it, we did it.
It's my honor. Thank you, brother. Oh. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and appreciate the proclamation, and please carry your regards to the rest of the city council too.
I sure will.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you to all the teachers for what you do. You guys make it better for our kids who have to move and change schools. Thank you.
we have some students' awards and recognitions. Superintendent Gall.
Yeah, we're super excited to continue celebrating all the strong visual and performing arts. I don't think we have all the students here, but go ahead and start reading, Melissa, for our all-state orchestra, and I think we have some adult representation. If the folks that are here for that can come forward.
4 students were selected to represent the district in the All-State Orchestra. Doherty High School students Samuel Rollins, Christopher Cooper, Justin Pierce, directed by Sabrina Bao and Angelo Sapienza, along with Coronado High School student Michael Kula, directed by Jennifer West, are part of a few selected from across the state to participate in the annual All-State Orchestra ensembles. They were chosen after a rigorous audition process and represent the best in their chosen instrument and discipline. After attending concerts, sectionals, and rehearsals with master teachers, performers, and clinicians in their field, they performed a rousing final concert showcasing their hard work, talent, and skills on February 3rd at the CSU Griffin Concert Hall. All-State Orchestra is sponsored by the Colorado State University and is open to 10th through 12th grade students who are part of their school orchestra program and complete the required audition requirements.
Awesome. Sabrina, you want to tell us a little bit about the program? And you're from Doherty, right?
Yes, I'm from Doherty High School. About All-State or from?
Just about the experience.
Well, it's a grueling 3 days for the kids. They go up and they have a full day of rehearsal Thursday, a full day Friday, and then Saturday morning they go in, have a final run through, and perform this year several different symphonies, major symphonies, and are under the direction of some pretty top-tier educators from across America. This year they had the opportunity to work with Scott Laird, who is an amazing educator and strings teacher, and just like, it's a very wholesome and wonderful experience to see these kids that meet each other maybe in middle school, sometimes elementary school, and then meet each other again at such a high level and start getting to see the competition of where they're going to go to school and who they're going to get to perform with in their professional careers. So it's a really awesome experience.
Michael, do you want to tell us your grade and what instrument you play?
Oh, sure. I am in 12th grade now, and I play the viola.
And what do you plan on doing after graduation?
I'm going to go to UCCS, at least for my first year there. And then after that, I don't know, I'm going to probably major in computer science and minor maybe in music.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
All right, round of applause for our All-State Orchestra. Thank you. Great job, buddy. That's yours to keep. Thanks. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Twice in one time. Thanks, Sabrina.
Thank you.
Okay. Yep, next. Those are, yep, thank you. Yep.
Palmer Winter Guard State Champions. The Winter Guard at Palmer High School recently finished their 2024 Rocky Mountain Color Guard Association season with a victory at the state competition for Winter Guard held at the Denver University Magnus Arena in Denver, placing first in the novice class with a score of 96.9. With the highest score of the night, they finished an undefeated season, staying at the top of over 10 other guards in their classification. Their show was titled Think Pink and was a crowd favorite. We can't wait to see what they do next year. Congratulations. Rocky Mountain Color Guard Association sponsors the state championships. For over 50 years, RMCGA has been a monumental force for color guard in Colorado. Kaylin Ward directed the Palmer Winter Guard, which include the following students: Jackie Preston, Avery Larson, Cheyenne Moria, Milo Rock-Chifaltho, Mason Watts, and Charlie Zitzman.
Casey, are you here too? Oh, yeah. Get over here. All right, Casey, you get a word, and then you get to have the students say a word.
Awesome. I want to clear a couple things up. So while I was the sponsor for our Winter Guard, I definitely did not direct them through their rehearsals, through their shows. That was my wonderful guard instructor, Miss Hallie Martin, who can't be here today. Hallie's a Doherty High School graduate, and we're very blessed to have her. But yeah, she's just not here today. So a lot of thanks to her. This season has been awesome for them. As you see, there's 5 of them here. There's 6 of them in guard. And most of their guards that they competed against were either double or triple the size. So something really unique about this program is after they won their first show at Florence High School, by a pretty substantial margin, They didn't think that the rest of the season was going to be a gift. They worked harder. They added more, sometimes adding more between like a week of a show, and really maxed out their season. So the Palmer program is proud. The community is proud. They deserve it.
Okay, anybody a senior? Who's a senior? You're the spokesperson. Raise your hand. Sorry. Go for it. Tell us what was the best part of the experience. Tell them.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Preston, and I think one of the best experiences with Winter Guard, like personally, is like kind of like growing up with everyone. It feels like a second family to me, and just seeing like their skill level just like shoot through the roof is like absolutely amazing. And it's just like really fun. And our competitions are like so amazing to be at. Everyone's so supportive. There's so much love, and it's just really great to be around you guys.
Thank you. Big round of applause. Thanks so much. Good luck. There's so much work that comes behind a board meeting, and there's scripts and there's things and who makes a motion and who seconds a motion. And always the most exciting part is when you give a microphone to a student and just have them speak from their heart, right? And so Jackie there had no idea we'd ask her to talk, nor did Michael beforehand. And to just hear the way they talk about the pride of their district and what it means to be a part of Colorado Springs is just really exciting. We'll continue to celebrate our students in that organic way. We appreciate it. Okay.
So we are not done with awards and recognitions, and I'll take the lead on this, Superintendent Gall. There is one more award and recognition for this evening, and it's appropriate that we are having this award recognition the same week where we had the proclamation read by the City Council President, and we also are spotlighting our JROTC programs. Mr. Mark Lilly Virgin, could you please approach the podium up there? And Mark, Mr. Lilly Virgin, and if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, you can correct it when you go up there. He is the Pikes Peak Area Chair for the Colorado Employer Support of the National Guards and Reserves. Recently, Mr. Lillivergen contacted me about an award that he wanted to present at the board meeting. Mr. Lillivergen, could you please share a few words about the Patriot Award and who you are presenting this award to?
Well, thank you very much. I'm Mark Lillivergen, and I am here this evening representing the Secretary of Defense. And as a part of employer support of the Guard and Reserve. As the name sounds, our organization is in place to help civilian employers and their employees who happen to serve in the National Guard or the Reserve Forces. Now, up until about 1970, we relied on our draft to fill out the ranks of our military. And that seemed to work pretty well, as long as it was viewed as being equitable, applied equally to everyone. But in the late 1960s, that support for the draft began to erode. And that was for a number of reasons. One of which was cost. It cost a lot of money to bring a young man into the military, train him, feed him, equip him, house him for 2 years, only to have to turn around and do the same for his replacement 2 years later. Also, we had far more young draft eligible men than we needed in the military. And also, during the latter stages of the Vietnam conflict, we began to see a terrible erosion in the motivation, the discipline of our military troops in Vietnam. And the Army attributed that principally to the fact that those were not volunteers. They were draftees. But the biggest reason that the support for the draft fell away was because it was no longer seen as equitable. if you could afford to go to college, you could get a college deferment from the draft. So as a result, the burden of the draft was being borne unfairly by those in the lower socioeconomic classes. So in the late 1960s, then President Nixon said, I've heard about this thing called the all-volunteer force. He assigned a commission to take a look at that, and after a year's study, the commissioners came back to the president and said, by all means, do away with the draft and go to the all-volunteer force. But they cautioned, when you do this, do not isolate your military from the rest of your civilians. And they also said that in order to do that, you've got to increase your reliance on the National Guard and the reserve components. So today, 40% of our nation's military capability comes out of the Guard and the reserve. They get the same training, they are given the same missions, they use the same equipment as their active duty counterparts. But that commission also said, if you don't have the support of the civilian employer, you're not going to be able to recruit, retain, or maintain the mission focus of that large a number of highly skilled young men and women. So ESGR was established in 1972, a year before we did away with the draft, specifically to work with employers and with service members to make sure they understood what federal labor law says. They must not discriminate against those members that they employ who are also National Guard or Reserve service members. When those members go away on orders, they have to have their jobs back when they come back. But really, the main thing that we like to do is to go out and present awards to employers that do a really good job of supporting their Guard and Reserve employees. So our nomination can only be given by a actively serving National Guard or Reserve service member who works for that employer. And for security reasons, I can't name our nominator or where he is, but he's not here tonight. But a member of Colorado Air National Guard, deployed worldwide someplace. But his nomination was for Mr. Michael Gall. He really appreciated the fact that Mr. Gall and others within District 11 have been very supportive of him when he's had to put on the uniform and deploy with his military mission. There are multiple missions. And there's not just one employee here in the district. There are many who are serving in the National Guard or in the Reserve components. And it's on behalf of them that I present Michael with the Employer Support Freedom Award, Patriot Award. Those, let me. There we go.
Let's get it. Thank you, Mark. Oh, I get a lot to say, so
Okay. And, I also have a lapel pin and a statement of support that you can sign and display anywhere in the district that shows how much District 11 contributes to national defense by support of the Guard.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Lillywashian, Mr. Gall is going to say a word.
First of all, I want to thank all our employees who do this double duty. We started with the proclamation. We had our junior ROTC bring the color guard. They'll be our program spotlight tonight as well. As I share my own personal journey, my daughter did 8 different school systems in 12 years. That's a real challenge. It was a real honor to be a part of our armed services, but we still aren't doing enough for our families. The tax on my family, my 3 now adult children and my ex-wife, so that'll let you know how hard that world was. It's not enough that we do for the families. Like I said, my daughter did 8 different schools in 12 years. Now, the good news is that we went from strong, supportive school systems like District 11 all across the country, and my daughter now has a doctorate in atmospheric science. So don't think just because you have to move mid-year doesn't mean that there isn't a community that's there to grab you. Part of that community is how we support our adults in that space, and so again, it's with great humility that I accept this honor on behalf of our guardsmen and guardswomen who deploy all around the world at a moment's notice to ensure that you all still have the liberties that we are able to afford ourselves as Americans. So it's a big full circle here, sitting here in now the leadership role of a school district, to have this military part of my life come back and to know that I'm in a community that is so steeped and so rich in those traditions and in that, what I like to say, shared mission and vision. So thank you, Mark, and for all those that you represent with these type of acknowledgements and nominations. Thank you.
And thank you again for being here and presenting. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, it's the program spotlight and the JROTC program at both Doherty and Mitchell are going to be spotlighted today. Superintendent Gall, over to you.
I just gave that whole intro, like it couldn't be any better. It's just really exciting. When you see this program spotlight, if you're not into the military, I don't want you to just think about junior ROTC. I want you to think about this program as the extension and the extended part of the learning day and our commitment to our children. This just happens to be one of the many offerings that we have, and we have our 2 retired 06s, Joey and Greg, here to come tell us about it. Joe, I think you're leading us off.
Thank you, Superintendent Gall. Thank you, Board of Education. Thank you, D11 community family, for allowing us to spotlight our program and really spotlight our great young men and women. I think this picture sums it up. This is a picture from 2 years ago, celebration at the local VA hospital when our cadets came together to honor members of the greatest generation, the World War II vets. And it's a very meaningful day for my vertically challenged friend and I, and all of our cadets. So we're going to talk to you about some fundamentals of our program. You see those there: service excellence, integrity, self-discipline, personal responsibility, sense of accomplishment. Every young man and young woman that come through the doors of our program for the last 24 years, I found out tonight, both of our programs stood up in the year 2000. You board members are so smart, you probably knew that. But our program at Mitchell and then Greg's program previously at Wasson, so I don't know if you knew that, both stood up in 2000. So 24, 25 will both be celebrating 25 years. You see the highlights there. The bottom line, both of our programs are inclusive. 150 students. I'm really proud that we've got the number 1 and number 2 academic seniors at Mitchell High School in our class. You're going to meet one of them in a minute. Our student body president, our prom king, athletes across the sport, including unified, and we're an inclusive and diverse program. So, Greg?
So one of the things that we do at Doherty is that we do well at drill. So JROTC is not a military recruiting program. That's not what we do at all. We build leadership skills with young adults starting as freshmen. And I'm going to be highlighting one of the cadets here who's a senior. If you want to stand up now, Jaden Wilson. He's our cadet commanding officer. He's been in our program for 4 years, and he epitomizes what we do in Navy Junior ROTC. As a freshman, he was a scared young little man. Now he is well on his way into the active duty military. He's going to be going into the nuclear submarine force with a very healthy bonus he got. He is also one of our drill team commanders. That's how we teach leadership, is by putting them in charge. He has been one of the driving forces we've had the last 2 years in the program, and also with how we've been rewarded really because of his leadership, because it's a student-led program. I advise, Senior Chief Cook advises, but the kids run the program. That's how we develop their leadership skills. So the next slide, let's see what we have here.
I think the next slide is ours.
Okay.
So you want to say anything?
Oh, one quick thing. I wanted to kind of put him on the spot here, was to ask him, how has Navy Junior ROTC developed you during your 4 years here at Doherty High School?
Okay, so here at Doherty, like he said, I used to be scared, right? Just a little shy, timid. Doherty JROTC has really brought me in a really great family, which is something I am very grateful for every single day. I'm surrounded by great friends, and I am outside my comfort zone every day, right? I've experienced a lot of stuff. Everybody says I look 28 already, which is sad, but we go with it. Yeah, but JROTC has made me, it's everything what I am right now.
I was very proud Saturday. Greg and I both took our kids, along with our colleagues, up to Denver Coliseum, National Rocky Mountain Drill Meet, 48 teams. And as proud as I was of my Mitchell students, seeing Cadet Wilson, the way he commanded his team, it was awe-inspiring. Drill is also a vital part of our program, ladies and gentlemen. But drill is not the only co-curricular program that we have at Doherty and Mitchell. One of those programs we have is marksmanship. Laura, please step forward. We have a marksmanship team. District 11 has a marksmanship team because of this amazing colleague of mine. Come on up here, Laura. Senior Master Sergeant Chris Newcomer. Chris spent his first 4 or 5 years teaching JROTC in Albuquerque. Air rifle marksmanship is a huge thing in Albuquerque. Was not in Colorado. Well, not until everybody sees this amazing young lady. So you see her up there. She's already slated to be our Corps commander next year. I'll be working for her next year. Amazing young lady. So Laura, can you please tell the board members, the superintendent, the audience, what marksmanship has meant to you?
Marksmanship has meant a great deal to me. I've met a lot of other talented cadets and have created friendships. Learning how to use an air rifle has been very fun, and it's a very good program.
Okay, perfect. Hey, so 2 years, ladies and gentlemen, 2 years she qualified for nationals this year. So Senior Master Sergeant Newcomer took her and one of her colleagues out to Utah. So Laura, how do you think you've grown in JROTC over your nearly 3 years?
Like Cadet Wilson has said, I was a very shy person. I didn't speak a lot. And being in the program has helped me develop leadership skills and confidence that I will carry on into the real world.
Great, thank you, ma'am. So as you've heard, that's a senior and a junior, but we've got stellar freshmen and sophomores as well.
Ms. Pekka, come forward. This is one of my stellar freshmen, Miss Erin Pekka. She has absolutely stepped forward because most freshmen are not that way. She is more mature. She's mature beyond her years here. Earlier this year, I asked her to write a essay regarding a Tuskegee Airman that was from Colorado Springs, and we were informed about 3 weeks ago she won the contest. His name was Lieutenant Colonel Marion Rogers. He was an original Tuskegee Airman, and she won the writing award, and they said hands down her award or her writing was the best out of all the different services that submitted. She is also one of our freshman drill team commanders. Mr. Wilson's probably embarrassed, but her freshman color guard drill team beat his senior varsity team. So she put him in their place for second in state at the drill meet. She is also a stellar student, as you can see. She's 4.35 GPA ranked #1 in her class. So I've told her how much we enjoy having her here, and we went to Sabin last night for a recruiting tour, and she did exceptionally well there. I just back away and let her do all the talking because she is a stellar student, so I just wanted to thank her. And for you being a freshman here, how has JROTC helped you go through your first year at Doherty?
Well, my first year at Doherty, or just my first year of high school, I expected to be very scared, but being involved in such a great program has definitely helped me. Joining a team is such a powerful thing because it really gives you a responsibility, and in JROTC specifically, you can develop so many good leadership skills, and the friendships I've made I know are going to last forever because they're, the bonds are just so strong. And as he was talking about, I am a commander, which again is one of the leadership opportunities I am honored to have and be a part of. It's such a great program, and I could not be more grateful to have joined.
Board members, I think you saw this picture of Sarah E. Lucy Ruiz Smith a few weeks ago, one of our aspiring aviators. You see her impressive credentials there. But what I want to tell you about Lucy is middle of the summer, 90 degrees, Thursday morning, 8 o'clock. She's not sleeping in, enjoying the air conditioning. She's at Mitchell High School serving the community. Over winter holiday break, conversely, it's 15 degrees and snowing, and she's out there helping the community. So Lucy, please tell the board members, tell the superintendent, tell the D11 family, what is it about serving others that inspires you, and why do you do it?
I really like going to community service and being able to help other people because usually what I do when I go to Mitchell is they have a walk-up stand where people can come walking up to the stand and get food. But seeing people walk from miles away, they come from miles away just to be able to get this food, hearing their story and how sometimes they just aren't able to feed their kids, it breaks my heart. And seeing them be happy to get this service, it brings me hope, honestly.
Thank you. So Lucy, why don't you tell us about your future? What are your future plans? I mean, you're second semester sophomore in high school, so the future's right here. What are you going to do?
Although I don't have a complete, real defined plan yet, I'm interested in many things from aviation to engineering, so really it's open.
Okay, can I just ask you one more question? Lucy, do you believe that the superintendent, do you believe the Board of Education, do you believe Mitchell High School believes that you can do anything you want to? Because you can. So proud of you. All right. So, as you saw, board members, community service, vital part of all of our programs. So Cadet Wilson is going to talk about a little bit of community service at Doherty.
Okay, so community service is a very big part of us at Doherty. We strive to have as many hours as we can every single year. So I'll be talking about 3 events that we do every single year. So our first thing is the Cadet Esteban Arnelius Food, Clothing, and Blanket Drive. It started off as a clothing drive 21 years ago. So Cadet Ornelius, he's the one who started it. He started it his freshman year, I believe. But his junior year, he was in a he didn't die in the car crash. He was in a really bad wreck with a drunk driver, caused him to die later due to complications. So every single year, we take pride in doing this. So we donate this to the Spring Rescue Mission every single year. Second thing I want to highlight is Wreaths Across America. It's just a big community service opportunity for our cadets. We just want to make sure that those lost are not forgotten. And then for Veterans Day, we do multiple things for that week. We started off that Saturday with the Veterans Parade, something we do with the entire unit, just to get them out in the community. From then, we'll go to about 5 to 7 old folks homes in the community, and we'll run an entire show for them. It's a quick little half-an-hour thing. We do a color guard, a flag folding ceremony, and a little bit of spinning rifles. And then we also hold the best, and I'll stand by that, Veterans Assembly here in Colorado Springs. We run the entire thing. It's about an hour-long show. We just want to make sure that veterans know how much we appreciate them and how much work they do and the sacrifices that they have gone through throughout the years. Thank you.
All right, so the home stretch here, final slide. These two amazing cadets behind me, Ruben Losi, prom king, number 2 in his class, student body president, and Mr. Gall. I was hoping tonight that you could award him his ROTC scholarship. He's a finalist for an ROTC scholarship, and what a heck of an officer he'll be when he gets that scholarship. So you have to come to our award ceremony and award that to him. And his compatriot here, James Murphy. So Ruben, please, with all of your accomplishments, tell us where being a peer partner for Unified Sports ranks on the list.
Well, sir, I'd like to first give some context towards Unified. It's a relatively new program. We had like small events last year at the end of the year. But it's already made a massive impact within the community and in the high school, and it's been so great to be a part of. So just seeing these kids get the opportunities that they deserve and haven't had before is so heartwarming, and seeing them have so much fun, seeing their smiles while they play is some of the most energetic and fun sports playing I've ever had. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. It definitely ranks among the top of all the programs I've been involved in.
All right, thank you. How about you, James? Please tell us. So James, tell you how talented this young man is, Board. Before a Unified game, he presented the colors. So he's in his wonderful service dress, marches out perfectly in step, precisely presents the colors, then exits in step, runs to the locker room, changes in his basketball uniform, and comes out. We won't ask how many points you scored that night, but I know you did well. So, James, tell the board what Unified Sports and JROTC have meant to you, buddy.
So first, can I put this down?
You're good. They can hear you.
Okay. So first off, JROTC is an amazing program, and it has helped me to learn more about the military, and is actually making me more strong because we do this thing that we do workouts, right? PT. And we do all these exercises. I actually went over my goal and I got to 20 of them.
Awesome. All right, good on you, buddy. Hey, how about Ruben? What's your relationship to Ruben mean to you, buddy?
I think he's a pretty nice kid. He's a pretty good peer partner.
And you commented earlier about his hair. You like his hair too, right? Hey, board, we're also fortunate enough, so let mom come up. James's mom, Ms. McCrae. Ms. McCrae, can you just tell the board a little bit about what the growth you've seen in James from JROTC and Unified Sports?
Oh, absolutely. He definitely, I was really excited when he wanted to join the ROTC. He's doing much more self-discipline, much better. And he actually told me at one point, he's like, Mom, it's too hard. So he is in special education. So he doesn't have many things that are hard. So as soon as he said that, I'm like, okay, we are sticking with this. You need to be challenged. I love that it's giving him more challenges than he had. And Unified, I don't know if you guys have come to any of the games. Oh my God, it's amazing. Like everyone's cheering for everyone, and it doesn't even matter who wins. It's a really cool experience just to go to the games. It's really been great for him, and I think it's given him a lot of confidence.
Great. Thank you, ma'am. All right, that's it. I think we went about 3 minutes over the allotted time, but board members, superintendent, Greg and I, actually the MVPs, cadets, will be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation. Board, do you have any quick thoughts or comments or questions? Director Bankus.
Yes, as a military family, I appreciate all that you're doing for our young folks to give them that discipline, that courage, that resilience to face challenges and step up and do the right thing. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. And James, I've seen you play basketball. You've got some ball skills out there. So, I'm always impressed when I come and visit your schools and see your JROTC at both schools perform out there. And it's exactly what I see sometimes in talking to you, Captain Thomas and Colonel Hinson, both of you. Students come in the freshman year, shy sometimes, and JROTC builds them the confidence, the character, the leadership skills. And now you have somebody like Cadet Wilson thriving and ready to step into the next step into his career. So congratulations for all you cadets out there. Keep doing it. I hope that we can recruit more, maybe not recruit is not the right word, but get more students into the JROTC program, because some of the issues sometimes that we have at schools in terms of student behavior and all those things will get addressed through our students participating in the JROTC program, and how the seniors train the freshmen to step into that role. So the succession leadership that goes on out there, really impressive. I can't speak enough good things about what you guys do.
Great.
Do you have something to share?
I'm just going to give a coin to each one of the cadets when they get ready to go, but I think Director Hafley has more to say.
Sure.
Just really quickly, I'm privileged to be able to announce all the Doherty home basketball games. And it's so cool to have the color guard come out ahead of time before every game. And I know I got Aaron's last name wrong. I'll fix that for next year. But it's really neat to see the kids that have such self-discipline and how well that speaks to the rest of their classmates. It's pretty impressive. I've been to Mitchell as well to fill in for a few basketball games, and been to the Unified games as well. Amazing. If you guys haven't had an opportunity to get out and see those, you have to. These kids, they kill it every time they're out on the floor. It's amazing. It's good stuff.
And it went unspoken, but we did a combined color guard, which meant that on about 10 days' notice, both Joey and Greg were able to get the two different sets of Corps cadets together to be able to practice that and do that in unison in a way that it seemed as if that those four young cadets had been working together for years. So another testament to the interchangeability of our services. If I can get all the cadets to come forward so I can give you our district coin. Congratulations. I won't see you in the submarine. I'm scared to death of the water. There you go, man. Thanks a lot for what you're doing, Mitch. Always very good to see you, man. I think you're supposed to be on the basketball.
Hey, next time I should beat you at basketball.
You will be basketball. Good to see you. You're going to come up to mine and share this, because that's what we're going to do next. Thank you, Lucy. It's good to see you again. How was the play? You didn't get sick?
No, that's fine.
I couldn't hit a barn during marksmanship if I stood right next to it. So I'm impressed. Thanks for what you're able to do. Great big round of applause for this.
So moving to the next item on the agenda, it's the superintendent's report. Superintendent Gall.
We have Erin, who's going to give her shout out to her teacher. Go ahead, tell everybody what you love about your teacher.
So my English teacher, Aaron Onfelt, he is single-handedly probably the best teacher I've ever had in my entire life. He inspires students every single day, and you can tell that he really has a passion for what he does. He has tons of opportunities where students can write essays and write about their lives and share it to the class. And this can really help bring a stronger bond to those students in that class. Additionally, he works with us to improve our writing every single day in a way that I've never had another teacher do, because other teachers just don't get as personal. And he's just really amazing. Every day I'm so excited to go to that class and see him. He brings a joy to Doherty, and every student who has his class always says that he is the best ELA teacher. So that is Mr. Onfelt, and he is...
Is Mr. Onfelt here?
He is not, no.
Go ahead.
But yes.
Yep.
Thank you, Erin. Perfect. Chris, come on forward.
Hello,
Introduce yourself because people don't know who you are yet.
Hello, I am Chris. I am a athlete at Mitchell High School, and I am shouting out my coach, Coach Browning. So I would use the quote to first describe him is, he's like a second father. I have been under his team for only 3 years, but he's treated me like his own son. He will yell at me when I'm doing something really stupid, and I'm sorry to say it that way, but he'll yell at me like a father, but he'll also treat me like his own son. Like, for instance, my recent race, my last cross-country race, he told me to actually head down to Arizona and compete in a national event. He just cares for me that. He also told me, hey, right after high school, I want you to see college life. So as I graduate this year, I am planning to go to UCCS and join the ROTC program up there.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Chris. And so Chris is not out of uniform. He's just in a different uniform. He's in his sports uniform. So we appreciate both our students giving shout outs to our staff. We're introducing a Student of the Week celebration. Is Ava here? Can Ava please come on forward so we can brag on you a little bit? And Gabe, are you here as well? Great. Okay, I wanted to give a little cover here. Ava has been awarded this patch design. SSEP stands for the Student Space Flight Experiments Program for Mission 18. And so that competition was at UCCS. 348 students submitted these designs, and finalists were selected by both university students and faculty in the Boys and Girls Club as well. So Gabe, do you want to share anything else about Ava?
Yeah, so Ava, she's an amazing girl. Every day she's smiling, she's happy, she runs, gives me a hug every morning, or avoids me, I don't know. But
that is not true. You have cursed me with that.
There's one thing, she also got the Boys and Girls Club Junior Youth Award of the Year as well. So, and you had to prepare a speech, give a speech to a whole bunch of a panel, right?
A panel, yes.
Yeah. And so she was awarded that. So, I mean, she's just a fantastic girl, always willing to share her thoughts, no matter what. But you can see she's full of life. So,
Ava, any interest in being in outer space someday and wearing that patch?
I really don't know.
Okay, one more question for you, Ava. Your favorite part about Bristol Elementary School?
My favorite part about Bristol Elementary School?
Yeah.
I can't say that I have a favorite. I love just the whole of Bristol. Whenever I go there, I feel like joy just rushing through me. The excitement that it brings me every day when I try new things and explore. And it's just like freedom. I don't know.
Thank you, Ava. And meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
I don't know.
Ava's parents, are you here? Can you stand up, or Ava's family, please, just so everybody can acknowledge the great work you've done as well. Thank you. In the back there as well. Thanks, Dad. Taking care of some other siblings as well in the back. Is that right? Awesome. Keeping with our ESP Wednesday, I want to be able to shout out Ms. Spiller, our Mitchell, doing attendance work at Mitchell, unwavering commitment to excellence. She's diligently calling parents and making sure our students are held accountable. Miss Carr over at Jack Swigert, investing in her kids and is always there for them. She's a SPED paraprofessional. She's actually pursuing her teaching degree. We're ready to hire you, so come on board. Miss Pettigene at Palmer High School as a community liaison. She's got the biggest heart. She's always had a strong desire to help. She works tirelessly, not just at our school, but with local businesses and churches to help find the resources that our students need and keep them focused on education. And Miss Cruz Hernandez as a paraprofessional at Wilson, new to our country and is actually just learning the language and adapting to her new home, but she works hard and is dedicated and is so good with our students in preschool. Round of applause for all our ESPs, please. Over to our Teacher Tuesdays, I'd like to give a big shout out to Miss Klingensmith over at Kella Elementary School, a 5th grade teacher. She is patient, kind, and cares so much about her students and her team, and she has retired and is now part of our part-time teaching corps. to Miss Vasquez at the Bijou School, teaching both SPED and social studies. She brings compassion and dedication and advocacy to her students in the community. And she's only been a licensed teacher for 2 years, but she's been a part of the Bijou School for over 20 years. So we appreciate that loyalty and that career ladder that she's been able to climb. To Mr. Romero, teaching physical education at Edison, great compassion for all our students. He is always a crowd pleaser, and he runs more than just PE. Many of our athletic clubs, takes on the extra duties at recess as well, and not an extra duty as in watching, but actually going out there and playing with the students. And Miss Fury, a 4th grade teacher at Grant Elementary School, bringing strong, meaningful relationships, and she's got a heart bigger than the lion's head behind her in the picture. So we appreciate all our teachers as well. We've gone through a lot tonight, so I just have 2 more slides for my report. I just want to take a moment to talk about an incredible experience I had this week to go over to Palmer High School and our Theory of Knowledge exhibition. Everyone knows Palmer is the high school where we deliver our International Baccalaureate program, and a cornerstone to that work is Theory of Knowledge. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the IB program, just think about kind of philosophy at high school. We have students grappling with knowledge. We have students grappling with what's the difference between a truth and a fact, and how do you determine the difference between the two of them? And so the students had displays set up in the media center, and you can see them here on the slide, where as adults and staff and family members would come by, they would give you a synopsis of their work in both the language that they spoke to talk to you about it. They had their written report, and they had artifacts there as well. And I was so moved to think that the variety of artifacts ranged from a Darwin's theory of evolution to a 100-year-old fly rod that had been handed down from family by generation to generation, to the single number that one of our cross-country students wore in the latest state championship. And our students being able to find ways to talk about knowledge and the understanding of learning through those different artifacts really just shows that the power and the future of what's happening at Palmer High School really roots through the IB program. And so we've asked ourselves out loud, and we've said, how is it that every student that gets to Palmer High School could have a TOK experience? Not asking every student that goes to Palmer High School to participate in the full IB program. But what would be wrong if every child on their development to critical thinking was grappling with the definition between a truth and a fact? Think about as they're fed algorithms over and over and over again on their social media, that if each one that came up in front of their face, they actually said, I wonder if this is real, and I wonder what the counter argument is. What if every student in our system could stand firmly for what they know to be true and also understand the side of the point that's being made by either the other political or social position of which they're constantly fed? So it was a heartwarming opportunity for me to see firsthand that display at Palmer High School, and knowing that it happens in so many other places in our district. But hats off to our kids and to our staff that put the time in for kids to be able to grapple with these things at 15, 16, and 17 years old. I think every parent out there, if you knew that your kid could come home from high school and actually argue the difference between a truth and a fact, or ask you how it is that you develop and pass along knowledge from generation to generation, I think you'd feel really good about what's happening in District 11. So thank you to the Palmer team, particularly the staff that has been dedicated to the IB program for so many years. It is not only here to stay, it's the cornerstone of the future of Palmer High School. I just want to end with, we took a little field trip a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to have Liz Tenkate, our Director of Curriculum Instruction, come up and talk a little bit about it. But we think so much about the profession of teaching, and so we were able to get a visit to the United Flight Training Center, which is another profession, the profession of aviation. Everybody knows that I was a pilot. I get it. Nobody wants to hear that anymore. So what we did is we brought everybody up there to see what does it mean when the power of the entirety of a brand and a company is surrounded around the profession of which identifies that brand. That's school systems and how it is that supports teaching and learning. That is what we do. The number one way to student achievement is access to high quality instruction. I was giving it to you, Chris, right there. And so we went to United to see that associative learning of how is it that every person at United Airlines understands that the profession of aviation and delivering that product safely is the most critical component. Liz, you want to come share with the board a little bit of some of the takeaways you had?
Good evening. I think, it was a really interesting experience. I think the parallels actually were quite striking as we visited United in thinking about, right, for United, the mission is all about safety. And you just replace that word with us for student achievement. The ongoing absolute dedication to supporting the pilots, all of the United staff, but really building a culture of support. Here's how we learn it. Here's the United way. There is a culture that is just palpable in United that you can see. Everyone wants to be a part of it, which I think was really exciting in thinking about D11 and the culture we continue to build here, wanting to be a community for all of our educators, our students, our families. So I think that was palpable, but there was also this very intentional focus on training, professional learning that is ongoing, but that is seen as supportive. And the practitioners are also doing the teaching. So the coaches are also in the work. They are flying planes and then they're leading classes. So as we think about our coaching model in D11 and our wraparound supports, how do we continue to keep our feet in the work and be connected to students and classrooms? But it was incredibly aspirational is sort of how I came away from the experience.
Great, thanks. I just wanted Liz to come forward to share that the goal here is just for us to think differently about how we align our resources. We have some $400 million and some almost 5,000 employees to support 23,000 kids. That comes every day, at least 6 hours a day, through our classroom instruction. How can we align all the resources and the power of this district to ensure, Chris, are you ready for it? The number one way to student achievement is? Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. I appreciate your report to the board. Board, you had any thoughts or comments, feedback? Seeing none, moving on to the next item on the agenda, public comments. Ms. Olson. So there are some public comments going over the board protocol for public comments. Just as a reminder, the board welcomes and is very interested in listening to community feedback as it helps us better do our job. Please approach the dais when your name is called. You have 3 minutes to deliver your remarks. Please monitor the clock that is on display and complete your comments in the allotted times. Board meetings are primarily business meetings for the orderly and efficient conduct of the business of the district. Keeping that in mind, the clear expectation is that your feedback is provided in a civil, professional, and courteous manner without resorting to disparaging or defamatory remarks. Students are often in attendance or watching our broadcast. Speakers' remarks, therefore, should be suitable for an audience that includes minor students, including no use of profanities or obscenities. In order to adhere to the board policy and accomplish the work already on the agenda, the board will not respond to public comments, but rest assured that your comments will be taken into consideration as we discuss pertinent agenda items. And for the same reason, to maintain the flow of the meeting and not have prolonged interruptions, please refrain from clapping. If you want to show support or solidarity to a speaker, please stand as the speaker is talking or use a silent applause. Lastly, the statements made by the public do not reflect the views of the board or the district. With that, the first comment, Mr. Brett Dayberry. Ms. Olson, can you turn on? Oh, she's got it. Okay. Yeah, there you go.
As a taxpayer and resident in District 11, I recently did some research regarding continuing negotiations between the district and the Colorado Springs Education Association. I also researched teachers' unions as a whole. After a simple Google search, I came across an organization called Open Secrets. This money tracking group demonstrates that teachers' unions is an openly partisan political organization. Our children's education should not be politicized, yet that's exactly what is happening with the teachers' union, and the numbers bear that out. From their website, quote, teachers' unions have steadily amped up their political involvement. From 2004 to 2016, their donations grew from $4.3 million to more than $32 million, an all-time high. Even more than most labor unions, the teachers' unions have little use for Republicans, giving Democrats at least 94% of their funds they contribute to candidates and parties. As a frame of reference, during the 2022 election cycle, the teachers' unions contributed over $6.8 million to Democrats and a paltry $26,000 to Republicans. These numbers do not represent teachers. Conservative school boards have been accused of politicizing education, but in fact, it is the union which has been doing so for years. After all is said and done, what do we as citizens get for this money? We get Democratic politicians who shove the woke ideology down our throats and into our schools. While parts of the state like Denver and Boulder might vote for legislation that supports these ideologies, therefore dragging down the rest of the state with them, the community of Colorado Springs has proven time and again that the woke agenda is not what they want. This is very evident from the last 2 D11 school board election cycles. These elections have delivered to this community a very strong conservative board. I want to thank all of you for delivering for this community as you have to this point. It is very much appreciated. I ask that you as a collective board continue to stand in the gap for the students of this community. These recent elections have shown quite clearly that this board, and not the teachers union, represents the true D11 community. Thank you again, and keep up the great work.
Thank you. Ms. Sharon Simpson-Dagon.
Thank you. I get to be up here and be your friend. Thank you. I appreciate you. Superintendent Gall, Dr. Mel Packham, and board members, thank you for the opportunity to address you. What do we have in common? 1 degree of separation between each one of you and me, and it's not the same degree of separation. We also admire excellence in District 11, but we see it differently. Why? Communication. Let's talk about a mandate. The board superintendent dance is an interesting socio-psychopolitical study. Some people like to remind you that you have a mandate, and you do, but not from them. As elected officials, you have a duty to us all. Even though the majority of residents don't vote for a variety of reasons, all want our public schools to be great. People expect you to do right by them and their kids, their relatives' kids, their neighbors' kids. D11 has valued public education for 150 years. Our community deserves to see you really support existing schools and their staff's continual striving for excellence, and that begins with your being good stewards and being transparent. From the most authoritative sounding voice on the board to the most innocent sounding one, we want to hear truth with zero spin. Is that happening? We heard not long ago some data that show merging of gifted programs has been proven to be good, but I wonder how, because the merging hasn't happened yet. Another instance, Doherty teachers attended a bargaining session last year that was scheduled during their workday, and not because of misinformation given to teachers, as someone would like us to believe as the rationale for spending $18K to hire outside PR during the negotiations. Those teachers wanted to attend the meeting. Bad scheduling on somebody's part. It's teachers who form the local association, whose purpose is to ensure the best working environment exists for teachers so that they can provide the best learning environment for students. We want to hire and retain skilled, knowledgeable educators who have a passion for teaching, rather than people who view teaching as a means to pay off their student loans or as an easy income, which it is not. Local members alone establish the course of the association that benefits D11 teachers and students. The only place that we want to hear and see spin is in the washing machine, at the skating venue, or on the dance floor, and grooming should be reserved for landscapes, pets, and personal beautification and hygiene. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lisa Schott.
Good evening. I'm here to talk about professional development. I love to learn. I'm often described as a lifelong learner. I will take that compliment and I will extend it to teachers. So many teachers in my building embody the spirit of learning as a lifelong pursuit, whether it's for personal or professional growth. One teacher is learning Take Flight, the intervention program for dyslexia. Another stepped up to learn basketball and coaching so we could have boys and girls teams that compete in District 11. Another is becoming a teacher liaison with the Space Foundation. So many teachers are taking what they learned from Kagan and have taken it upon themselves to continue working on these strategies. As an outdoor learning pathway school, all of us are working personally, in grade level bands, and as a whole school team to create integrated outdoor lessons. What great role models these teachers are, embodying the essence of continuous learning and growth for their students. This isn't random. Good learners do this kind of stuff. Teachers do this kind of stuff. This is what we see in the graduate profile and D11's approach to personalized learning. So on the page for your D11 graduate, it does talk about them being continuous learners, just like teachers, innovative problem solvers, just like teachers, and empathetic collaborators, just like teachers. Attached to that is a resource called the Personalized Deeper Learning. So personalized learning, what it is, a commitment to student and teacher agency for all. Flexible environments to match instructional methods. What it is not, one size fits all, and the exact same at every school. So to support the D11 graduate, we want professional development that is differentiated, focused, relevant, and rigorous. What we don't need is a math training where when we ask a question and we're told that it cannot be answered because this is what we're told to talk about. That's inflexible, and it's not responsive to different needs. It lumps everyone into the same category. One size fits all. A professional development needs assessment survey went out to teachers last week asking for some feedback around this year's offerings. Unfortunately, it did not include a place to suggest future PD needs. So think about us as empathetic collaborators. No one's asking us what we need. No one's thinking about walking in our shoes. So to restate, what we want is professional development that is differentiated, focused, relevant, and rigorous. Having rich and diverse options for PD and being shown that plan before the end of this school year would be a heck of a start.
Thank you. Ms. Maria Bergman.
Hello, Board. My name is Maria Bergman, and I'm speaking to you today as a resident of District 11. Today, you are being protested under the false pretense that this school board does not support teachers. This is a line peddled by the D11 Teachers Union. Nothing could be further from the truth. Not only are you not anti-teacher, you are a board of teachers. 4 of the 7 of you are current or retired teachers yourselves. Vice President Haffley was a D11 teacher for 29 years and still volunteers to announce district basketball games. From the dais, you often speak from personal classroom experience to inform your questions and votes. You all and Superintendent Gall take the first hour or more of every school board meeting to highlight the great work of individual teachers, have students give testimonies about them, and often have them present particular programs and clubs that they oversee in the district. In 2023, the board pushed for record raises for teachers and staff, bringing first year's teacher salaries to the highest in the region. And the recent internal survey data you conducted demonstrated that teachers are feeling increasingly supported. This board isn't anti-teacher. The real reason you're being attacked is because the SCEA does not want you to stand strong in these negotiations as your representation is doing. The union is used to buying your side of the bargaining table in the election. In 2023, their $500,000 investment didn't work, and the community elected a school board that is fighting for student outcomes and a better school district. So now the teachers' union is slandering you in the media and newsletters to their members. Do not be intimidated. Continue to stand strong and know that you are supported by this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chauncey Johnson.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm used to not speaking under 30 minutes, usually used to listening to people doing it. My apologies. I have a low voice, so my apologies. I'm used to hearing people speak for 3 minutes, not me actually coming to this podium and speaking for 3 minutes. I just wanted to say I'm here to support the teachers and their fight and negotiation power. I believe that you should give them what they want. I've been a student here. I've went to North Middle School. I went to Galileo Middle School. I went to John Adams Elementary School before it got closed down in the 2008 recession. I've been a part of those kids that have had to been bused to a whole other school that they know nothing about, have no idea, have no friends, have no connection. But there's teachers here that still work to this very day. Ms. Sherry Lane was right up here just sitting, and she just left. She taught me in 5th grade. There was a teacher that was sitting out there that were with the union people of CSEA and was asking for their rights to be given to them. And she taught me all the way in middle school in 6th grade. And she still remembers my face. And she asked me, what am I doing today? What am I doing right now? And right now I'm working at the state capitol for a state legislature. And I could say I'm doing that thanks to her, because the resources that she provided. But sometimes she had to go outside of her own pocket in order to do that. And if we're asking teachers to do that and we can't supply them with the necessities that they need in order to give our students a world yet to be imagined, as we used to say, how are we going to let those kids imagine a new world where they could thrive? And I hear a lot of people talking about this union stuff, all that. Yeah, that's cool, man. But honestly, as a kid and as a student that used to go here, we just want to have a good education, be able to think for ourselves. To be able to think for ourselves. So if you think something's a little too extreme on the right, too extreme on the left, screw it, teach them. Because at the same time, we're also teaching these kids to think for themselves when they get into the real world. Because you guys aren't gonna be there with them every step of the way. And their parents aren't either. So it's up to them to decide what they want to do with their future and their life. And don't believe that I'm a great guy. I was not the great academic person, didn't really believe in school. I was a very hard knock kid. But also at the same time, I realized that these teachers instilled something in me that I will never, ever, ever, ever let go of. And I know that they'll never let go of it for the future children that are standing up here every single day. And until you guys realize that, and sit down with these teachers and really see the impact that they're giving to these kids. And not to these kids right now, because I understand we need to worry about right now, but we also need to worry about our future. And they helped me get to the future to where I am today. Not only me, but my brother and many other people that I know here. And when I hear sometimes of board members ignoring teachers, acting like they don't care, and some things they don't jive with too well because it's not a part of their personal beliefs, whether they're Republican or Democrat, I don't care. Do it for the sake of the child. Do it for the sake of me. Do it for the sake of our future. Because at the end of the day, some of these kids might be in the position that you are, and you set an example for them. And please don't set the wrong one.
Thank you. Ms. Shayna Dabney.
Hello, my name name is Shayana Dabney. Many of you know me as Shay. As we are quickly approaching Teacher Appreciation Week, I want to take some time to say that teachers are our most invaluable resource. As we navigate a post-global shutdown world, we've now seen more so than ever how crucial teachers are, even especially after being designated essential workers. And yet we've seen, unfortunately, from this board constantly attacking on our teachers union. I would like to pose the question, how can we trust our teachers to provide our children with the knowledge and tools to be productive members of our society, and yet when they organize and they galvanize and they stand together, we quickly villainize them? Are these not the same individuals that we are placing in the classroom? I would like to emphasize that our teachers union is in fact made up of our teachers, despite some of the sentiments that have been expressed here today. They're not union thugs, they're not union enforcers. They live here, they work here, their kids go to school here, they're members of our community. And as such, I would like to remind everyone in the room that when we are attacking the union, we're attacking our community members. And the community is watching. So I would ask that we please keep in mind who we are actually referring to when we're espousing these anti-union sentiments. I hate to see our district caught up in a culture war conversation instead of addressing the realities of what's happening in our schools. Please remember this as you continue to engage with our union in the future, for we are watching. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Simpson-Dagon, you have signed up both online and in person, so I'm not going to call your name again. Thank you. With that, we are at the end of public comments. Thank you again for being here and sharing your comments and thoughts with the board. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, board member reports. Director Hafley, you are up first.
Okay, first I want to thank Ms. Arnell, Mr. Coffer, and the Student Council kids at Coronado for their time just yesterday to talk about student voice, and it's important. And Mitchell High School, I want you to know I'll see you on Friday. That's been booked for about a month now. I'd also like to thank Ms. Gustafson, Ms. Jones, and Ms. Wheeler and their students at Edison Elementary School for welcoming me into their classrooms. I learned how to make an origami fish. I learned all about tradition and found an innovative way to teach vocabulary. It was an amazing time. It's pretty great to get into the schools and see it all happening, from the teachers to the students, the building techs to the counselors, to the administrative pros. I would like to personally thank you. It's so great to see how everyone works together for the betterment of our students. We have amazing people in this district. As many of you are aware, I recently retired from teaching after 30 years in the classroom. 29 of those years were right here in District 11. Teaching wasn't merely a profession for me. It's my passion. It's my life's work. Every day, I miss being in the classroom teaching the kids. I dig retirement too, but I do miss being in the classroom with the kids. Having taught in this district for nearly 3 decades, I've observed numerous boards and have been directly affected by the countless decisions that have been made in this very room year after year. So it's a tremendous privilege to serve on this Board of Education, entrusted with the authority and the responsibility that comes with this position. Reflecting on my time here as a teacher and now as a board member, I can honestly say that this is the most pro-teacher board I've seen in District 11, and I've been a part of it for 3 decades. Every member of this board is pro-teacher. The majority of members are teachers. 4 of the 7 of us are experienced educators in this district or neighboring districts and the academy, collectively bringing 69 years in the classroom. I share this tonight to set the record straight, as recent media posts and emails have been making false accusations about this board, disparaging our efforts to support teachers and students. These messages are malicious, they are incendiary, they are divisive, and above all, They are patently false. I find them personally offensive. So it's essential to correct these inaccuracies. The 5E survey shows new elementary teachers feel supported and the school culture is improving. Just last year, the board secured significant pay raises. We adjusted the calendar and ensured teacher representation on the committee. Before every board meeting, we celebrate teachers and programs with students presenting their work. Last year, Superintendent Gall and the board adjusted the budget to preserve teacher positions. And this year, we've prioritized allocating funds directly to the classroom and avoiding teacher layoffs due to budget reductions. And I tip my hat to the previous board for approving better health care than we've previously had. Also important, we're innovating in curriculum and partnerships to enhance education and student outcomes, aligning with teachers' goals. It pains me to think that after dedicating more than half of my life to teaching and collaborating with other teachers and ESPs, anyone would believe that I would support anything contrary to what I've devoted my life to. Now, if you'd like to meet with me to discuss this further, please email me. I will respond promptly to arrange a meeting. And with that, I thank you.
Thank you, Director Hafley. Director Bankus.
I would like to give a shout out to those students who reach out to their teachers to thank them for the opportunity, as we heard earlier this evening. But I had an opportunity at the superintendent's breakfast this morning at West Middle and Elementary School to have two of my former students come up and remind me that I was their teacher instructor. One I taught 5th grade to, who is now a staff member, a counselor over at West. Does that make me feel old? No, no, because as we've heard, learning is lifelong. And it's a reward for us to know that our kids have grown up. The kids, they're not our kids in the sense of taking them away from their parents. They're our kids in the sense that we spend so much time with them that we do become involved in their lives and their emotions, and they're growing. So I taught her in 5th grade at Giberson, and the other one, the counselor, she was my student teacher. And no, she was my 5th grade student. The other one was in her cooperating class. And I've watched her grow. She came to District 11. She started out as a teacher and moved her way on up and is doing very well as an administrator here. And that's the pride we as teachers take. And so I listen to all the adult conversation, but honestly, parents, teachers, the board, all of us, we're interested in growing young people so that they can become confident, resilient in the programs that we're offering. So again, if you are a student who remembers your teacher, preferably by name, reach out and say, look what I'm doing now. And I think that's an excellent thing to do, to reward those of us who, as you've heard, devoted our lives to making sure that we've given the best each and every day. And a thank you goes a long, long way. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Ott.
Thank you. To two of the points that were mentioned already, growing our students and our youth, and the Theory of Knowledge event at Palmer, which Director Bankus was also at, and I believe President Malpacum. Our students sharing their knowledge and sharing what they have learned about various aspects, things that connect to their own lives or their interests, and the critical thinking that they're doing. It's pretty impressive. On that same day, right outside the library, was an event that was happening to educate themselves about driving safely and walking safely, pedestrian safety kind of a thing. Superintendent Gall and I both took the opportunity to try and walk the line with some goggles that made you feel like you were drunk. And I'd like to think we both did pretty good, but it's quite a challenge. And so after that visit, I went back through the building, and the garden club was having a sale, and marigolds and tomatoes and the like. And it's just so many things are happening in our schools. That's one or 3 examples of 2 hours in one of our high schools. So many amazing things happening. Also, everybody knows I love a good play, so I'm going to give a shout out to Coronado and Doherty and Palma, even Siva High School, one of our charters, have all done plays in the last few weeks. More are coming. These are middle schools. Russell Middle School is doing Mary Poppins, Jenkins Middle School is doing The Addams Family, and Swigert is doing Oz tomorrow night. So keep an eye out for those in the next couple of nights. And then coming up next week, our Mitchell is, their acting class is having a play. I believe it's The Trial of Goldilocks. And West Middle School will be doing The Sound of Music. So you can find announcements of all of those with our D11 Visual and Performing Arts on Facebook. Hopefully they are listing them on their websites as well. So many opportunities to see our kids and their amazing talents. Also, the Jazz Festival with Mitchell High School hosted a jazz festival with so many schools around the region, and that was pretty impressive too. So, thanks.
Thank you, Director Art. Seeing no further board member reports, I'll wrap up with some of my own thoughts. I'll start first with this. The board has received several emails sharing sentiments from the community and also requesting feedback on employee group negotiations. Thanks for sharing your thoughts with us. We are in the midst of negotiations with all 3 of our employee groups. We want to honor what is happening at those sessions, and as such, we are constrained by what we can share. Other than to say we want to find creative, innovative solutions for persistent challenges that have been plaguing the district over the past decade, including enrollment, staffing, student achievement, parent engagement, and budget challenges. We will honor that negotiations process. What I also want to share is that this board is fully supportive of our staff, our teachers, our ESPs, and our exec professionals. As the leadership team of the district, we get to set the overall vision and direction for our schools. But the implementation of that vision only happens with the commitment of our exceptional staff and the delivery of high-quality instruction from our teachers. We always function as a team and have the same shared goals. We have demonstrated that appreciation not just in words, but backed it through our actions over the past couple of years. It is reflected first and foremost in our board priorities, where we identified student success and staff investment as primary focus areas. We have invested taxpayer resources closest to students in the classrooms, supporting our teachers, and preserving FTE positions in our schools. Today was the last day of the staff breakfast event that Superintendent Gall rolled out at the beginning of the year. The board and Superintendent Gall had an opportunity to visit all 50 schools over the course of the year, and as a token of our gratitude for the incredible work that our staff is doing day to day, we appreciated that with providing them with breakfast. Director Art, if I understand right, attended most or all of these breakfast events. Some of these events start at 7:15 in the morning, so kudos to you, Director Art, for engaging and supporting our teachers out there. Director Bankus and I were at today's event too. And then over the past couple of weeks, I had the opportunity to visit several schools and engage with staff and students. And you can see our teachers and staff are working incredibly hard to close the school year strong. We see that this last couple of weeks with state testing, our teachers have stepped up to the plate, and every school that I've visited has a clear plan, positive energy. Students were prepared and focused, and it's all thanks to our incredible teachers and staff. So from all of us on the board dais, thank you for the work that you are doing. Excellence in teaching and excellence in learning, that is our focus and that is our foundation in District 11. And in celebration of teaching excellence, I just want to share some of this with you as a prelim to what could be coming up pretty soon in the next week or so. We were recently contacted by a philanthropic organization that wanted to partner with District 11 to recognize and elevate our exceptional teachers and learn from their best practices so other teachers can also benefit. Superintendent Gall and his team are working out the details of the agreement, and you will hear specifics in the near future. My takeaway from that one conversation I had with that philanthropic organization was the incredible momentum we see in the community for the direction that we are headed in as a district. Previously, we had to reach out to philanthropic organizations. Now they are reaching out to us as we are delivering on our promises and holding ourselves accountable. Accountability starts at this board dais, and the board holds the superintendent accountable. And we hold ourselves accountable for improving student outcomes, setting high expectations for our students. Our community is noticing it. And they are approaching us to partner with us in our journey to excellence to support our students, teachers, and staff. Thank you. The next item on the special report is legislative update. And do we have Mr. Brandon Comfort? Are you? Yeah, Dr. Comfort. Ms. Amy Atwood is also joining us, our legislative liaison. And we are in the midst of the General Assembly and all the bills that are being introduced in the last minute. So Ms. Amy Atwood cannot join us in person, but we look forward to you joining us in the near future. Ms. Atwood, do you have an update for the board?
I do, thank you.
Okay.
Amy Atwood, contract lobbyist for the district. We have 2 weeks left as of today before the session finishes. We have almost 750 bills that have been introduced, and it is a crescendo to the end. So there, as of yesterday, there were still 300 bills that were in play that need to get settled by May 8th. Of most importance, and what I wanted to talk about tonight, is school finance. So the school finance bill for the 24-25 school year is moving through the process smoothly. It is non-controversial this year. It will have its final vote tomorrow before going off to the governor for signature. The legislature, by the Constitution, has to pass two bills. One is the state budget, and the other is the School Finance Act. And by Friday, both of those will be finished. Last time we spoke, the new school finance formula bill had not been introduced, and it has now been introduced. It was introduced on April 11th. House Bill 1448, new school finance formula. It sets the ELL, SPED, and at-risk multiplier at 25%. It sets the COLA cap at 23%. And there are two studies in the bill, one on weighted student budgeting and the other on multiple count dates. So now that that bill has been introduced, we've spoken about it for the last month. I wanted to open up the discussion of, would you like to take a position on that bill? And if so, then that gives me the direction to go forward.
Oh, go ahead. Do you want?
She's asking for discussion on the board's support of the SFA. Amy, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the way we've already publicly positioned ourselves to catch all the board up?
Sure. So Superintendent Gall, well, going way back, we have been, District 11 has been a part of the writing of this bill and been very engaged from the beginning. The bill's framework comes from the School Finance Task Force that met throughout the interim, and they made recommendations. So that's the framework for the bill. The bill is slightly different than some of those recommendations. If you in totality did the recommendations, it would be over $1 billion to implement. And so with the way the bill has been drafted, it requires about 80 million new dollars coming into education. So over a 5-year period, once implementation is finished, it's right about $450 to $500 million, new dollars going into K-12 education. Superintendent Gall and Mr. Comfort have been, like I said, a part of the process and looked at numbers, looked at the district numbers, and the bill was in committee last week. House Education Committee and Superintendent Gall did testify in support of the bill. So from that.
Okay. Dr. Comfort, do you want to add anything to it, the impact for the district with this bill?
Good evening, Board. As Ms. Atwood said, the original task force recommendations were more substantial. We were looking at about a 4.2% increase with that. Obviously, it was cost prohibitive. So as the bill has gone through more conversations, it still is ultimately beneficial to our budget because it will weight factors that are important to District 11. That impact has reduced over time, but it is still a positive impact for the district.
Okay.
I think the important summary for the board is this is the first time really ever in the state of Colorado that the Student Finance Act is driven, the School Finance Act is driven by the need of the individual student first and not by the other factors that have had some what I'll just call not equitable distribution of funds over time. And so it could be even more advantageous to us if there were less politics about this because the needs of the students in District 11 are so much greater. Our 23,000 children is a greater need than any neighboring district's 23,000, and this is the first SFA that starts to reflect that. So it leads on the need of the student first, not necessarily the need of how the community has been able to sequester dollars in the past.
Okay, board, do you have any questions about this House bill? Director Nelson.
Just to get clarity, Ms. Atwood, were you asking the board if we would like to continue to support this, or what is it you're needing from us?
Thank you for that question. I was very clumsy with how I started. So if you remember when I first came in and presented and we met, I talked about taking positions where it will make an impact. And there were three criteria for taking a position. One is the political viability of the bill. 2 is what is the district impact? And 3, will your position make a difference either in your community or at the state legislature? And this is one of those bills that it does check the box for all 3. And particularly on the 3rd, will your position make a difference? It will make a difference in your community and it will make a difference at the state legislature. District 11 is highly respected, and being able to confirm by the board the support position is, I think, something that is a good move for the district.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. That was excellent. And I mean, I'm in full agreement that we should continue to support this or take a stand now officially, I guess, as a board. I'm grateful that our superintendent was able to speak on behalf of it. So thank you for doing that, Mr. Gall.
And the first factor that you address, the political viability of the bill, do you have any thoughts on that?
So it's a highly political bill. The sponsors are the Speaker of the House, the Assistant Majority Leader of the House, the Minority Leader in the Senate, and Senator Zenzinger, who has been engaged her entire career in education, whether it was in school districts or at the legislature. It is a change, and so change is hard. There are amendments that are being discussed, particularly around the studies. And there are 6 districts, District 11 is not one of them, that because of declining enrollment, they're really in a sticky spot where, because the bill also changes the enrollment averaging from 5 years, which is current, to 4 years, those districts with really, really high declining enrollment don't see a benefit. They're held flat, they're held harmless. So there are discussions around that. But the amendments that are being discussed will not impact the impact the bill will have on, the positive impact the bill will have on the district. So on the political side, I think that we will have to count our votes and lots of discussions, and your position tonight will help in the conversations that I have. I've already had a lot of conversations with the delegation down in your area. But just being able to say that the board has taken an affirmative position on the bill will help that.
Okay, thank you. Board, any more questions about this bill itself? If not, by a show of thumbs, do you have a question, Director Nelson?
I have another question. I guess it's not specific to this bill. I don't believe. It's the 4-year averaging and the likelihood that that is going to come into play or not versus the 5-year averaging. Do you have any sense of where that's at?
Those negotiations are still happening. Even this evening, they're still in discussion about 4 or 5-year averaging. The politics on that is the governor wanted 0 averaging. A compromise had been made to 3 years, and the bill was introduced at 4 years. So moving to 5 years will be another compromise. So, I mean, those are really sticky negotiations. Districts really in totality want the 5-year, so there's a lot of pressure to move to a 5-year.
District 11 would definitely be impacted if they shifted to a 4-year. So we
Brandon,
would.
you want to comment?
You want to comment?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so I believe we spoke about this when we discussed the PBDA last time, but and we'll talk about this in a budget update. If we went to a 4-year averaging, we would lose over 1,000 students in count next year, which would be substantial for us. Just with the reduction of big years, we're going to see an impact, but going to 4 years would be a really big impact to us, which is why we've discussed the necessity to get out of declining enrollment averaging.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I add, from those discussions that we had and I've had with Superintendent Gall and Mr. Comfort, I have been lobbying and pushing for a 5-year, specifically on that issue.
And I think really just to reframe, the hold harmless here is that the state wants to stop the long addictive nature that we've had to the demise and the loss of our enrollment. And so these changes will likely, when they do at 3 or 4 years, have that hold harmless, but that in the out years, you can't be counting on the 5 years in the past. And so this board, or actually the board before this board, set forth an aggressive budgetary plan to ensure that we would be out of decreasing enrollment averaging, and we have bottomed that out and adding 15 students to our overall enrollment last year. That doesn't get us completely out, but this is the last budget build where we are attached to the ways of the numbers that we had in the pre-COVID years. And so yes, it is certainly would be a direct impact to District 11 to go from 5 to 4, but all of these changes are in 5-6 year rollouts with hold harmlesses for districts to be there. And so we actually fully support this idea of districts being accountable for the number of students in which they enroll. To be for over 20 years funded for what you had 5 years ago has trained us to be used to dollars and students of which we don't have. And so I want to applaud Dr. Comfort and the folks on the board who have built the budget, as well as our budget subcommittee on the DAC, to be able to make a transition as we get ready to talk about the budget that is nearly seamless as we're coming out of decreasing enrollment averaging, as we're leaving ESSER, and as we're changing to a portfolio district. And yet we don't have people lining up at the podium and say, you cut my job, where did my job go? We've been able to do this by finding efficiencies and thinking about how we stay on the strategy of investing in the classroom. And so I'm in front because Amy's introduced it, but we have nearly $3.5–4 million of budget cut we have found at central office to not take on the backs of schools. School budgets are constantly leveled and balanced by at the last minute saying 1 or 2 teachers per school will easily save you $5 or $8 million. This board, through the legislation and having the connective relationships with the lobbyists, to understand how to best present how we don't attack the very thing that actually serves us, which is teaching and learning. So as we continue to go forward, we are positioned very well for this year and positioned even better for the out years. Where everybody else is reacting, we've been crafting, and I really appreciate Amy for giving us a voice in that space.
Thank you. You still have questions about this bill? This bill itself? Okay. Yep. Director Nelson.
I just wanted to add on with this 4-year averaging, it will have an impact. If it were to take place, it would have a great impact to District 11. But to Mr. Gall's point, it really is, for the taxpayers, a more accurate representation of what districts, how they should be funded, in my personal opinion. So I appreciate that the bill offers a hold harmless time period for school districts to be able to make those adjustments. I just think about our mill levy override fund, where we have gotten a little bit spoiled, where our per pupil amount continues to increase as our student enrollment decreases, because that is a set amount of money that comes in, and we're grateful for that. And so focusing on supporting our staff as best as we can to make those adjustments in our budgets, and that will continue to be the strategy that this board takes and the administration, because in order to support our students the best, we need to have supported staff. So just wanted to add in, Ms. Atwood, that while we recognize the impact it would have to District 11, we're not necessarily saying we disagree, at least me personally.
Director Bankus.
Thank you. As soon as I think I understand this, it gets cloudy again. So in the past conversations that we've had when we've talked about budget, it sounded like we were positioned through the efficiencies and leaving the classrooms harmless, that coming out of student averaging, that we were in a good position. And now I'm hearing from Ms. Atwood that there is an amendment that says we're going to continue this on for 5 years. Somebody clear this up for me.
Yes, absolutely, Director Makis. Because of our budget and because of the enrollment strategy of the board, we will be out of declining enrollment averaging next year. If we were to stay in declining enrollment averaging.
Wait, is that a choice?
No.
So what does this bill have to do?
Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
So what is this bill of continuing on for another 3, 4, or 5 years?
Well, there are many districts who will continue to be in decreasing enrollment averaging.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That clear.
And so
thank you.
But we are at this point, we are scheduled to get out of decreasing enrollment averaging next year. But it is important, I think, as Ms. Atwood is saying, that if we weren't in that position, we would be potentially confronted with a more significant budget challenge.
So for us to speak in support of going with 5 years or whatever, is that to support other districts throughout the state? Because it doesn't impact us, whether they go 3, 4, or 5 years?
I think it would be potentially to support other districts who have been like District 11 and in decreasing enrollment averaging for an extended period of time. It also might be, if that were ever in our future again, that there would be that cushion again.
Thank you. That really clears it up. I appreciate it.
Yeah, as long as we come out of declining enrollment averaging, okay, then we are good. Ms. Atwood, you want support position or a decision from the board at this point in time? Okay, board.
Yes, please.
With the show of thumbs, 1, 2, 3. Yep, I see. Yes. So the board has expressed its desire to support this House bill. So, moving on, do you have any other updates on other bills, education-related bills, that are on the agenda?
That is the update for this evening, and thank you so much for your questions and for giving the affirmative support position.
Okay. I'm going to turn to the board and see if you guys had the board members, if you had any other questions on any other bills that Ms. Atwood can provide some clarity on at this point in time. Seeing none, thank you, Ms. Atwood, for being here, and thank you for advocating on our behalf at the legislature. And we will see you at some point in time pretty soon after we come to the end of the session. We will have you in person here to summarize everything that took place.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the next item on the special reports, it's the 2024-25 preliminary budget update. This came to the board at a work session on April 3rd. We have some updated figures, and Dr. Comfort is here to provide an update. Superintendent Gall.
Yeah, minus my last soapbox and rant, we thought it would be important to bring back to the board and to our community in our effort to continue to be transparent in our budget bill now that we're getting closer to understanding what the state will actually provide. Dr. Comfort has an update for the board.
All right. Good evening again, board. Ms. Atwood gave us a great lead-in into the budget discussion. We did want to come back. It's always great when there's no new news from the SFA, and so we've had no new news, so we're operating with some consistent information and now feel even more confident in the funding that we will receive. And we'll obviously, as Ms. Atwood said, we'll know that exactly here in the next couple of days. Can you do the one-pager? It was in the agenda. Yep, that's it, I'm sorry. I kept looking right over it. Thank you. Okay, that's okay. Okay, so we did, we'll share a couple of documents tonight. First, we wanted to do a little bit of a budget profile. Sorry. Okay. So a couple of things. We always want to frame our budget in our strategy, which is around our academics and what's happening in our schools. And so we took that seriously as we built the budget this year. We've already had some conversations about that. We'll just kind of go through quickly and remind the board the framework for how we built this budget. Obviously, the largest driver of our budget is our enrollment, as Ms. Atwood just discussed. And so we are modeling at this point in time that our traditional enrollment will be consistent with this year. That would be a really big success for the district. It would be our first year in a long time where our traditional schools stayed at the same rate or increased. We're also modeling that we're going to have an increase of about 1,100 charter school students. That is the primary reason for why we will get out of decreasing enrollment averaging. That 1,100 will take us above what our decreasing enrollment averaging account would be, and so we will be out of decreasing enrollment. Now, what I will say is we are modeling 6.8% increase from the state, and that's made up of 1.6 is the remainder of the budget stabilization factor that will no longer exist, and then a 5.2% inflation increase. So we're modeling a 6.8% increase. But we got to remember, because of the impacts of coming out of declining enrollment averaging, even though we're going to add 1,100 students to the system, because this year we're funded for more than 1,100 students that we don't have, our net enrollment next year is actually going to be down 56 kids if all of the models come out in terms of our funding. And so when we take all of that and we look at what kind of new money are we getting, we're really only getting about $2.8 million, which just isn't a lot of money in terms of new money to the system. And so when we thought about those new recurring revenue and we also considered our current financial position, we're already operating from a mismatch of about negative $3.8 million. If the board remembers, the district traditionally operates at a mismatch of about 1% of our total budget, so we operate around $2 to $3 million. That number has gone up because the board has been aggressive in its compensation strategies and wanting to make sure that they support staff and not wanting to reduce positions. So we're counting on $2.8 million in additional money, and then I want to talk a little bit about where we're kind of spending that money and the strategy. And so, as Superintendent Gall already articulated, this is a school-based strategy. If we were to go back to board formula, as Superintendent Gall discussed, that many school districts, including this school district, have done in the past, when it came time to balance a budget, they went back to the board formula and they made those reductions. If we were to do that, that would be over 100 positions right now in our schools. And so we didn't do that in this year's staffing allocation. Additionally, we were able to continue more than 40 positions that were ESSER funded into the general fund. We've increased our CLDE FTE as well as bringing GT FTE. We've also had our MLO FTE already go to schools. So that is a schools first strategy. That is, we are heavily resourcing schools with staffing. And that's a wonderful strategy, and it does come at a cost. So when you think about the impacts of the declining enrollment averaging and additionally our new recurring expenses and those staffing rates that we just talked about, we were starting this year's budget build at a negative $4.2 million. That's a really tough place to start. And so instead of, again, going to our schools to look to balance our budget on their staffing allocations, we instead looked to central administration, and through primarily efficiencies and vacancies, we were able to reduce about $4.1 million. Now, $700,000 of that is the retirement differential, but $3.4 million of that is almost all coming from our central departments tightening their budgets and balancing that. So all of that was done in order to get the board back to a mostly balanced position where you'll see that you have a negative $77,000 mismatch. Now that was all done to make sure that the board had a level of recurring resource available to you to use as the board decides. I'll leave it there, and then I will go into the PBDA in a moment. Any questions I can answer on the overall strategy? Okay.
Seeing none.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Just for the community, some of this was already presented at the April 3rd work session. So the board had a lengthy discussion on this at that point in time. We wanted to present it at the board meeting too, so our community is aware of it.
Absolutely.
Carry on.
Okay, now we're in the more financial document. It's a little less pretty. But you'll see all of those numbers that we just talked about are represented here. You'll see the 6.8% increase. You'll see again that even though we're adding over 1,100 students to the overall system, our change in funded pupil count will still be down because of the impacts of declining enrollment averaging. And you'll see there that our starting balance before we started to build our budget was a negative $3.8 million, or $3.8 million. You'll also see that we're projecting a starting fund balance of just shy of $54 million. And so as we work down, again, you'll see that net resource change there, we're modeling that we will really only have access to about $2.8 million in new resources. Okay. You'll see there schools increase teachers to staffing allocation. So because of we've talked about ghost positions and all of our work to identify and find efficiencies in the system, we were able to add a lot of positions to schools and really only pay for it at a 6.5 FTE increase. Now, those ghost positions won't exist next year, so we've used those. But that was a wonderful opportunity. You'll also see that there were some other recurring costs in terms of some contractual obligations that we have to continue, things like Power School, things like PeopleSoft, utility increases. Those are things that are non-negotiable that we have to pay for. You'll also see that Based on information from the board has already set aside over $15 million in non-recurring compensation, as well as some other non-recurring costs. And then we'll go down into the reductions. And so that's where you'll see that kind of $4.1 million reduction. Again, that was a lot of FTE centrally and recurring budget, and almost all of those positions were either vacant positions or natural attrition through retirement. We did our very best to reduce the budget and get as tight as possible with impacting as few of people as possible. And so what you'll see when we take into account everything that the budget has, we are now at a mismatch, an aggressive mismatch of $6.4 million, negative $6.4 million. That's a high mismatch, especially given the fact that we are coming out of declining enrollment averaging, but it does represent the board's wish to be able to provide, to have recurring resources at their discretion to use. And so that is where our budget stands today, and I welcome any questions.
Thank you. Treasurer Nelson.
Thanks for walking through all of that. In the spirit of transparency, and as we have gained just confidence in the numbers, we wanted to bring this out again for the public to see and see where the mismatch is landing. It is based, the information we have here are based on estimates of what we will be getting through the School Finance Act, and should we come out finding that the numbers are higher than what we've estimated, then the board is determined to put that increase in funding towards supporting our staff and focusing it on compensation. We're not going to necessarily reduce that mismatch. We're comfortable with this high level of a mismatch at this time, given that we do have that surplus in our general fund to act as a cushion should anything happen. So that this is a very aggressive. Typically, we strive for 1 to 2%, or which would be about around $3 million of a mismatch. So we're well above what typically you would see in a district budget, but as I said, we feel that this is very strategic and intentional and yet sustainable for the district. We are very intentional in making sure the long-term health of the district is in a good place, and at the same time being sure we're taking care of our staff and our students with the funding that we are given. So just wanted to highlight those little things. It is a challenge that we have the declining enrollment of over 700 students in our traditional schools, and that plays a big impact into what we are able to do. So we're getting tighter with our budget, and in the future do not anticipate building that general fund balance as we have in the past. It's a good thing because it means we're being intentional with the funding and putting it to use strategically, but then that means in the coming years we won't have that surplus of the general fund that we've been able to rely on as much. So just wanting to kind of fill those pieces in of the puzzle for everyone, and just say thank you to our staff. I don't know about you all, but the presentations at the front of the meeting are just so encouraging, and when that child said that she's filled with joy when she goes to school, I just can't help but thinking that that's because of our staff. And so just thank you all for creating that space for our kids to love coming to class.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? So the only comment I have for you, Dr. Comfort, thank you for all the work that you put in over the past couple of weeks. Yesterday I was passing you by and I asked a question about how long have you spent, and you said like last week you found out that you worked 79 hours or something like that, and you don't get paid for anything for all the work that you put in. So thank you for all the hard work that you guys are putting in at this time to get a budget that will appreciates our staff and is also something that is going to keep our district's financial health going forward. Thank you. Moving to the consent items, Director Nelson, can you please make the motion to adopt the consent items?
I move that the Board of Education adopts all consent items as designated in the agenda. The consent items are F2, approval of April 10th, 2024 regular meeting minutes. F3, approval of April 17th, 2024 special meeting minutes. F4, personnel recommendations, April 24th, 2024. F5, North Middle School Innovation Renewal.
Moved and seconded. A roll call, please.
Director Bankus?
Aye.
Director Carey?
Aye.
Director Hafley?
Aye.
Director Jorgensen?
Aye.
Director Malpacum?
Aye.
Director Nelson?
Aye.
Director Ott?
Aye.
The ayes have it. The consent items were adopted as presented. Moving on to the next item, action items. The first action item on the board agenda today is contract awards. C 2024-0069, charter school contract with Orton Academy for a 5-year term. Director Bankus, can you please make the motion for action item G1?
I move that the Board of Education approves Resolution 2024-29, thus approving contract C2024-0069 to approve Orton Academy as a district-authorized charter school. The contract performance will start July 1, 2024, and has a 5-year term ending June 30th, 2029, subject to any earned contract extensions through the annual performance report process in accordance with policy LBD.
Second.
Moved and seconded. The Orton Academy Charter School application first came to the board at the November 8th, 2024 regular board meeting with a deeper review during the November 15th, 2023 work session and approved via resolution 2024-16 at the November 23rd, 2023 board meeting. This is the next step in the process to award the contract. Superintendent Gall, do you have new information?
Sure. First, I'd like to appreciate that Director Nelson seconded the motion. As we think about the specific asks that you've made for us on ELA and on dyslexia, we present now a contract with Orton as yet another example of a portfolio solution to an academic master plan. We are all in on our target and our clinic sites in our traditional schools, and we add a third option now for recommendation of the board to hyper-specific programming for families that believe that they need that at a standalone program in school at Orton. Dr. Mendelsberg, you want to present any updates to the board on the contract?
Good evening, board. Dr. Malpacum kind of gave you the timeline. I do realize that Director Hafley and Director Carey weren't here when we first started this process. It was towards the end of November. As you can imagine, with Christmas break and things like that, we got behind, and then our legal counsel was out of town for a couple weeks. Their legal counsel was out of town for a couple weeks. So we did ask for an extension that was approved March 18th, and we asked for a second extension to get to today. So that's how we got to today. If you'll indulge me for just 1 minute, I want to make sure, especially as we have new people on the board, that you understand how deeply vetted this process is. I wrote some of these names down just because I want everybody to know how many different people see this. So I want to make sure that we thank Carlene Clark, who's our legal counsel, but internally, Mark Capps, Anna Diaz, Nadine Garcia, Rosa Garcia, David Colicky, Greg X, Tom Hunt, Melanie Bulick, Deidre Shearer, Brandon Comfort, Laura Hronik, Nicole Gerardin, Chris Odom, Nicole Ottmer, Shauna Kurtz. Cannot thank Katrina Adad and Melissa Olson enough for all the things that they do to get this ready for you. Also want to thank Tom Weston, who is our charter liaison. And so just want you to know that's about 7 different departments that this is all vetted through so that people really, we get the best contract. We still don't get it always right. We always have some typos as much as we try to go over it. But just wanted to bring you up to speed on how we got to this point, why you hadn't heard of it maybe until now, or maybe you hadn't heard about it as deeply as the others on the board have. So with that, I'll turn it over if there's any further questions or concerns. We are lucky to have the principal, Cindy, from Orton, and their board president, Ann Boris. So they're here. Hopefully, well, they're here. I'll just say that, and we'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Thank you for both of you being here too. Board, looks like Director Nelson.
I just want to recognize that, remind me your name, the principal.
Cindy.
Cindy, what's your last name? Conyu. I saw you at our professional development for our principals, and just think that's wonderful that you're coming alongside us. And I don't know that a lot of our charters are joining us in those things, but I think it's an excellent start that if they're interested to definitely come and participate, and we can learn from each other. So hope it continues.
Any other questions from the board about the contract itself, which was attached to the board docs? Seeing none, thank you for being here. And I'll come to you, Ms. Olson, roll call.
Director Bankus?
Aye.
Director Carey?
Aye.
Director Hafley?
Aye.
Director Jorgensen?
Aye.
Director Malpacum?
Aye.
Director Nelson?
Aye.
Director Ott?
Aye.
The ayes have it. The contract with Orton Academy was approved for 5 years. Congratulations. Welcome to District 11. And hopefully we will get an opportunity to visit your school and engage with your staff, and look forward to thriving, your students thriving under your program out there. Thank you.
You're welcome anytime. Come on over. Thank you.
Director Carey, can you please make the motion for action item G2, which is amended fiscal year 23-24 budget?
Absolutely. I move that the Board of Education adopts Resolution 2024-39, appropriation levels budgeted for fiscal year 2023-2024.
Second.
Moved and seconded. This agenda item came to the board as a non-action item during the April 10th the regular board meeting. Dr. Comfort, is there any new item? Seeing none, if there are no further questions from the board on this. Seeing none, Ms. Olson, roll call, please.
Director Bankus?
Aye.
Director Carey?
Aye.
Director Hafley?
Aye.
Director Jorgensen?
Aye.
Director Malpacum?
Aye.
Director Nelson?
Aye.
Director Ott?
Aye.
The ayes have it. The amended fiscal year 23-24 budget has been approved by the board. The next action item on the agenda is Resolution 2024-38, which is National Teacher Appreciation Week. Director Hafley, can you please read the resolution that's in front of you and make the motion for action item G3?
I would be honored to, thank you. Whereas America's greatest strength has always been an educated citizenry, and that quality of citizenry is directly attributable to our system of free and universal public education. Whereas the foundation upon which that system of public schooling rests is the teacher, who is challenged daily to reach out to every student to provide the assistance and guidance necessary for full intellectual development. Whereas the work of the teacher immeasurably affects the future lives of all students. Whereas Colorado Springs School District 11 has over 1,100 certified teachers who include our classroom instructional teachers, special service providers, counselors, behavior specialists, and library technology educators. Our dedicated teachers support and care for the educational, social, emotional, and health needs for all our diverse students. And whereas teachers are also necessary and valued coaches, including teacher learning and literacy coaches, to provide professional support for our other teachers, now therefore be it resolved that the teachers of School District 11 be given the deepest respect and admiration of the citizens of this community, and that May 6 through 10, 2024 be recognized as National Teacher Appreciation Week, in witness whereof we have hereunto set our hands and caused the official seal of said school district be hereunto affixed this 24th day of April 2024.
Can you please make the motion?
Therefore, I move that the Board of Education adopt Resolution 2024-38, recognizing May 6 through 10, 2024 as National Teacher Appreciation Week.
Second.
Moved and seconded multiple times. Dr. Comfort, please come and share.
Good
I think
evening,
President Schott as well.
Superintendent Gall, do you have any?
We would ask President Schott to also join.
Okay.
That's all.
Yeah, Dr. Schott's here with me tonight. We just wanted to say a few words. I did want to, on a personal note, my family's in the education business. My dad was a lifelong, or he's a retired lifelong educator. My sister's a kindergarten teacher. My mom was a assistant in a middle school, and I absolutely know they're not watching tonight. But now it's on the permanent record that I acknowledged them during Teacher Appreciation Week. So, again, I'll turn it over to Dr. Schott in just a second. Just wanted to acknowledge teachers briefly. It's difficult to overstate the importance of teachers. It's not an exaggeration to say that teachers change lives in our district every day. There's so many incredible people in our district doing amazing things across many departments and divisions, and the outcome of all of that work culminates in the classroom with a teacher and their students. Teachers have always played a pivotal role in shaping our district and community. That work has never been more important than today. Teachers, we thank you for all of the love, care, and dedication that you put in your classrooms every day. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Schott.
Thanks, glad to be here. I'm gonna focus on something a little different. Tied to the resolution, of course. The resolution has recognized that teachers are the foundation on which public schooling rests, and that's true. Teachers do all this connecting and outreach to students every day, but it isn't a challenge that they encounter. This is something that teachers embrace. Teachers choose to work with children. They choose to give themselves to the betterment of children. Teachers do indeed work. Their work does better the futures of our children, but it's the people themselves that the children are going to remember in 50 or 60 or 70 years. So we have a lot of different teachers. Director Hafley talked about our different categories. They're diverse, indeed they are. But the important part is the care and support that they provide within this. Teachers dedicate themselves. They dedicate entire careers to the betterment of others, to the well-being of children. Now that career, I of course appreciate, and I'm glad you do too, but it's nationally and chronically underfunded and underpaid, and teachers still do it. That's a choice. So it's impressive that teachers voluntarily step into such a critical role in children's lives, the responsibility even of serving in loco parentis. Our system of free and universal public education rests on teachers, but more deeply it rests on the choice of certain committed people to serve as teachers of our youth. So our appreciation also recognizes that teachers are people who have undertaken this work, people dedicated to our society and its futures through our children. So, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. And board, do you have any comments before I call for a vote? Seeing none, I want to thank all the teachers that are on this board too for your years of service. And Director Hafley, you talked about your 29 years of service in the district. This past week, I ran into two teachers, and one has served in the district for 40 years and another 41 years. And both of them are going to be retiring in the near future. And that's dedicating an entire lifetime, their adult lifetime, to the profession of teaching and making a positive difference in the lives of our students. So thanks to all the amazing work that our teachers do. This board stands with you and supports you. With that, roll call, please.
Director Bankus? Aye. Director Carey?
Aye.
Director Hafley?
A wholehearted aye.
Director Jorgensen?
Aye.
Director Melpackham?
Aye.
Director Nelson?
Aye.
Director Ott?
Aye.
The ayes have it. The resolution was adopted to support National Teacher Appreciation Week. And hopefully our community, parents, teachers would love to, for the students to come with a card or some token of appreciation for all the hard work, because those little things make a difference in teachers' lives. Moving on to the next action agenda item, Resolution 2024-40. Director Art, can you please make the motion for action item G4, which is releasing D11 as the exclusive chartering authority for 2.0 schools?
Yes, I move that the Board of Education approves Resolution 2024-40, which relinquishes its exclusive chartering authority for 2.0 schools and encourages and allows 2.0 schools to apply directly to the Charter School Institute. The planned charter with respect to size, educational programming, and its inclusion as part of a larger network would be best served through authorization by CSI.
Second. Moved and seconded. This agenda item came before the board as non-action during the April 10th regular board meeting, and the board had a discussion at that point in time. Is there any new additional information, Superintendent Gall?
There is not. Okay.
Seeing none and seeing no further question from the board at this point in time, roll call, please, Ms. Olson.
Director Bankus?
Can you turn on the microphone? Thank you.
Director Bankus?
Aye.
Director Carey?
Aye.
Director Hafley?
Aye.
Director Jorgensen?
Aye.
Director Malpacum?
Aye.
Director Nelson?
Aye.
Director Ott?
Aye.
The ayes have it. The action item was adopted as presented. Moving on to the non-action item that is on the agenda. The first non-action item is policy GBEE, Technology Resources and Internet Safety, Responsible Use for Staff. This is new information, Superintendent Gall.
If Ms. Ottmer can come forward.
Good evening, directors. Nice to see you. Policy GBEE, Technology Resources, Internet and Safety for Responsible Use for Staff, has really minor revisions that we're proposing tonight to align with more clear languages on the damage section within it to district technology. The minor change specifically amends general damage language to say willful damage. That's the major change within the policy.
Yeah. Thank you. Director Ott.
Thank you. So we should have caught this 2 years ago. So I'm completely in support of this change in the language. But the second and third paragraphs really don't make sense. So this, we could pass it maybe by consent next time as just, woo, let's get the willful damage in there. But could we see it, if we do that, I'd like to see it 2 weeks later with some changes to those two paragraphs. I think the word responsibility is in there and it should be responsibly or something. There might be a word missing to help it make sense, or punctuation, but it's in desperate need of paragraph rewrites for paragraphs 2 and 3 in this policy.
Paragraph 2 and 3 on page 1?
Yes.
Okay. All you are asking for is
for them to make sense.
To make sense. Okay. Could you take a look at it?
Yeah.
I think that's not part of maybe the language that was revised already.
Correct.
But could we take a look at that and then?
Absolutely.
Okay. Is the board okay in moving this to consent after that paragraph 2 and 3 make sense? Okay, by show of thumbs. Okay, thank you. Okay, if we can look at that paragraph 2 and 3 and then revise it and then send that information to the board and then post it as consent for.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you. The next non-action agenda item is the Academic Master Plan Update Middle School Pathway Designation. Again, this information came before the board during the April 17th work sessions, and the board had an extensive discussion at that point in time. Do we have any additional new information for the board to review?
We do not.
Board, do you have any additional questions at that point, at this point in time in the material that was? Seeing none at this point in time, this item will come back as action 2 weeks from now. So, moving
I know we all talk too much. I just really want to thank the middle school principals for the work that they put in to bring that, for the folks who didn't watch the work session. And I really want to give a shout out to Ms. Ottmer for her leading the design thinking center and process that allowed them to come together. Having school leaders come together and think at a system level instead of just the individual needs of their schools is only possible when you give them a framework of which they feel safe to be able to explore those options. And Nicole has done tremendous work in not just bringing the design center and that process to this, but you have seen it other times. Ms. Odom came to the podium and cried last year when she talked about her design experience, and I encourage you all to experience the sprints that we're doing with our community. We'll get that information out to the board to continue to show people the way that we're using design thinking as a process and as a center for us to deal with very difficult and complex problems that is really garnering a lot of buy-in from the stakeholders to be able to get you the clarity of that academic master plan update.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hartmer. Future agenda item request. Seeing none. Calendar review. A week from now, next Wednesday, we have a work session, followed by a special meeting with executive session to talk about the negotiations with our 3 employee groups. The work session topic at this point in time is going to be policy review. So we have our attendance policy that will come back in front of the board, which we tabled or postponed, Ms. Olson? The attendance policy we tabled or postponed, just so. Postponed, yeah. Right, we postponed, and that's coming back at the May 1st work session. In addition, there are the policy BG itself, which is the policy process that will be in front of the board. So we can have specific guidance as to, there was the district and the board itself wanted to provide some clarity to the policy process, so that policy BG will be in front of the board. In addition, we will have all the discipline policies potentially coming in front of the board if that is all ready to post. All of that is scheduled to be posted by this Friday on board docs. That is going to be a lot of policies that we will be reviewing in one evening, contingent on time. So if board members come prepared for that discussion, it will speed up the process and we can make efficient use of that evening. Wednesday, May 8th, we have a regular board meeting. Wednesday, May 15th, we have a work session. And then we have graduations the following week. We will not right now a board meeting is not scheduled for the week of the 22nd, the Wednesday of the 22nd because of graduations. Director Bankus, you had a question?
Yes, did I hear in the exec section, in the possible board retreat, are we revisiting the process through which we are going to look at policy? Is that what you said?
Right. The board retreat is also something that we are looking at, Director Hafley and I, to see a time that can open up. But the board retreat would be a lengthier discussion about everything. But the policy review process will be at a work session next week.
Good.
And we will look at the process itself that you are talking about.
Thank
and
you.
the board can provide feedback on it, along with some of the policies that are potentially coming in front of the board, as many as we can address that evening as the time allows, knowing that we have executive session following that too, potentially.
Thank you.
Director Carey.
I just want to potentially add to that list. I know that's a scary thing to do, given what you just talked about. Policy BE goes through the tempo and kind of default schedule for meetings. This is something that I would be interested in thinking through as a board. I have a very specific thing that I want to suggest, but I just want to put it out there. Policy BE is something I'd like to talk about at that, if time allows.
BE.
BE.
Okay. That's a current policy that's
Yes.
on the B series. Okay. Okay. We can certainly consider that too for that evening.
If time allows.
Is that that flows with policy BG?
Yes,
Yeah,
it's a related
okay.
subject of conversation.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no further questions from the board, and if there are no objections, this meeting will adjourn at 8:15 p.m.